So let's be honest. It's 2026. Right now, it's actually July, so we're in the middle of 2026. It is safe to say that people, as well as men, have very little to no standards whatsoever. It has been trending this direction for probably about 30 years, maybe a little longer. But to me, people's standards, but specifically men, have been on the decline for at least 40 years. At least 40 years. And I can see this across the board in a lot of people's choices, decisions, and how they decide to live their life. For example, I dress a certain kind of way. I'm always thinking about how I present to those that know me and don't know me, because you only get one chance to make a first impression. I take that seriously because I want to make the best impression every time. This helps me make more money. I like making more money, as should you. But it starts with presentation. Presentation is everything. So I dress a certain kind of way. Today, I've been complimented twice. I was complimented early this morning while I was getting my breakfast. I was complimented a few hours ago leaving a doctor's appointment. I didn't need the compliment. I didn't need the validation, but I appreciate it because who wouldn't appreciate a good compliment for being, well put together? So I'll take it. But I think about when I was in high school. I used to dress like this in high school. Maybe not the suit and the blazer, but I wore dress shirts in high school. It wasn't uncommon for me and my friends to have on what they call the grown man. That's what we was rocking junior year, senior year. Like, that was our style. But there were girls at my high school that would come to school in pajamas. And there was a time where we'd have conversations with these young ladies, and we'd ask them, why do you think it's okay to come to school dressed this way? And their response was, I'm not here to try to impress nobody. And our response was, impress yourself. It's not about everybody else. It's about yourself. You should be proud of what you look like. You should want to impress yourself by looking your best every single day. But that was their mindset. And again, that was when I was in high school, which was 20 years ago, let alone where we are today. That was before leggings, before people could just wear workout clothes, where people actually still wore jeans all the time. Girls wore jeans and skirts and I forget those type of pants where they're like short at the leg. But yeah, that was then. So I see the same thing now. And I think, especially being a black man, an African American man, to me, a lot of this happened to us in the 90s. And it was two things that spearheaded this change of how you presented yourself when it came to your fashion and your wardrobe. One was rap music, hip hop culture. The second was sports culture. Those two cultures, which were predominantly black led as far as the athletes and the faces of those industries, were black men. And those black men became the popular influencer when it came to fashion, because that's when men started wearing basketball shoes, Jordans, Iversons, Gary Paytons. And that's when guys started wearing rapper clothes, which at the time when rap music was probably at its biggest influential peak, which was the 90s, street rap was very popular. Gangster rap was very popular. NWA, Tupac, Snoop, East Coast, Biggie, The Lox. Like, street rap was the thing. And those dudes didn't dress like the men who dressed in the 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s, and 40s, and so on. Because if you look in a history book, if you Google what people looked like in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, they all wore suits. That's what they did. Some kind of uniform suit. Even if they were poor, they still wore suits. They wore vests, they wore sweaters, they wore top hats, fedoras, they wore trench coats, but they wore suits. All of this stayed the same until the 90s, when it became about street culture, street fashion, hip-hop culture, and sports fashion. Those cultures and that influence allowed people to stop dressing up and start dressing down for comfort. Fast forward to now, where everyone dresses for comfort, which, surprisingly enough, I feel more comfortable in a suit than I do in jeans, because the fabric of my suits is a lot softer, and my suits are tailored to my physique and my body so that they fit appropriately. I never, like, jeans to me are just very like denim. Denim to me is like, it's rough, it's coarse, it's not a comfortable material that I enjoy wearing. Anywho, now today people wear baggy clothes, which they started in the 90s, but not necessarily baggy, but comfortable clothes, comfort clothes. Girls are wearing leggings everywhere you go, especially the last 15 years. It's just legging central. Guys are wearing joggers, hoodies, sweatpants, shorts, whatever, right? Jeans, some of the same clothes they've been wearing for the last 20 years. But they're not wearing suits. They're not wearing dress shirts. They're not really wearing polos. They're not wearing dress shoes at all. They're not wearing blazers, jackets, and they for sure aren't putting on a tie. So, that's one area where people today have lowered their standard as far as how they present to the world. In addition to the fashion state or sense of that statement, it's also their actual bodies. Physically, your skin, your body. People's standards they don't have any. People just get up every day, eat, go to work, binge their phone, get off work, binge their phone, eat, go home, binge their phone, go to bed, and do it all over the next day. Nowhere in there was there exercise, not even taking a walk most of the time. Not even just a simple walk to get some steps in. Therefore, people's bodies have continued to decline. I see people on social media that I've known since childhood, high school, and now as adults, and many of them have increased in their weight. And it's nothing to do with age or genetics or some kind of illness. A lot of it is just lack of exercise and increase of eating. I've been relatively the same size since I was in high school. 20 years, I've maintained being in shape. I've maintained having a six-pack. There was 1 year where I got dad bod, which was last year. And I was in law school, I had a kid, I had some health issues, and I moved like 4 times. And I started a new job. So I just wasn't working out at all. And I saw that I ended up gaining like 20 pounds. And I wanted to gain 20 pounds because I wanted to be bigger as far as like my muscles and stuff goes. But I didn't have those muscles. I had a gut and man titties. So I had to do what it takes to get myself back to the physique that I'm familiar with, which is where I am right now, and with a six-pack again. But as I went through that process of going from no six-pack and being chubby back to having a six-pack and being lean, it really made me take a look at how I ended up that way. And when I was getting chubby, no one said anything in a bad way. I was told I looked healthy. I was told I was putting on some of that man weight. Pause. But that's not what I wanted to hear. You know, no one was really keeping it honest with me. Whereas I look around now and I go, dang, no one's keeping it honest with half these people, and half these people don't even care what they look like. If you were to say something about what they look like, you would be attacked as a body shamer or somebody that's being judgmental. Even if you're saying, no, for health reasons, you should probably lose some fat so that you don't end up with diabetes or a heart attack or a stroke or anything like that. Be mindful of what you eat. But that's not what happens, because everyone's doing the same thing. So if you are looked at as weird for not doing that, I actually had something today. I had a going away celebration that I went to. someone was retiring, and they had cupcakes and cake and fruit. And someone made a comment. They said, there's also fruit for those of you who don't want to eat the cake. And two people said, there you go, Ger'rell. And they said, yeah, Ger'rell, he's our, we inspire to be like him as far as how he eats. And I actually had a cupcake, believe it or not, because it was in my macros. I had the carbs in my macros that I could eat them. So I had a cupcake. I didn't have a bunch of icing, but I did have a half a cupcake, red velvet. I loved it. It was great. But you see, they called me out in specific because they know that I just don't, at all these birthday events and holidays, and all, I just don't eat everything because I maintain my physical goals of my physique. Meanwhile, everyone else that you see in society tends to not prioritize their body. They want to be, come as you are, love me for me. But everyone who was anyone at some point had to improve. Someone had to help you improve and be better. They didn't just love you for you when you were born. They had to teach you how to walk, how to talk, how to write, how to read, how to have manners, how to be respectful. You had to learn those things, and they made you a better person. But somewhere along the lines, people stopped forcing you to be better. And once you were stopped from being forced to be better, you just chose not to be better anymore. You chose to stay where you are. And that's what I see everywhere that I go. Is people don't necessarily care to improve or be better. They want to be fine exactly where they are, and they want you to love them where they are. And they also want the benefits that someone has that did more work, that did improve, even though they aren't doing the work for themselves to improve. Yet they want what that person has. They want the money, the car, the house, the girls, the freedom, all the material things, the good health, the relationships, the status. They want all of those things secretly, but they won't do what's required to get those things because they don't do work that requires you to improve. They don't even read books. They don't take steps. As simple as going outside and walking. They don't do that. So that's another area. I see this also in relationships. Again, everyone wants to be in a relationship for the most part. Not everybody, but people tend to be in relationships or desire to have someone in their life that they can be with, whether it be short term or long term. People are lonely right now. But the people who do find themselves in some kind of relationship, a lot of those people are in relationships with people who aren't necessarily someone that they actually would really want to be with long term, and or have a genuine burning desire sexually to be with that person. A lot of times people are in relationships out of convenience. They met someone that was a coworker. They ended up having mutual friends and they got cool with this person. They swiped right on a dating app. Something that was easy, but it wasn't actually what they wanted. It wasn't their dream spouse, dream girl, dream guy. It was what they got. It was what was available to them at that time. And they took that opportunity and moved on with it until it failed. And it usually fails because it's not what you really wanted to begin with. You were just entertaining it because you would rather have something than have nothing. But that's you living below your standard. Because what you really wanted was your standard. You really wanted the girl that looked like this, that talked to you and treated you like this, that can cook and clean or do whatever it is that you're attracted to, that was your ideal girl and partner. But because you have low standards, you took this girl who's got a body count this crazy, this rude, disrespectful, this not clean, that doesn't take care of herself, that's always, doing the most, just out there, living it up, not necessarily being like the partner that you wanted. But you accept that because your standards are low. And the women do it too. They want this guy. They can't have this guy. Maybe because that guy has standards that they don't live up to. So they get this guy. And they don't really like this guy. But they'll take what they can get from this guy until they can get more of it from the next guy. Low standards. It I can continue to go on. The next one, food. People don't eat healthy. People don't take care of themselves when it comes to their diet. I'm sitting here charging my car right now. I'm looking at Popeyes. The line is around the corner. It goes on and on and on. From food to vaping to smoking to weed to alcohol to corn to just poor life choices. Not saving money, spending money on things that won't really benefit you in the long run, that are temporarily dopamine hits, but after a while you just kind of grow out of it and then you never need it again or use it again, and next thing you know you got to buy another one. On and on and on, across the board, you can see that most people have very low standards. And the point that I'm making is raise your standards, and some of your standards need to be non-negotiable. What you want for yourself in your life is totally up to you. You don't have to accept mediocrity, being average, below average. You don't have to accept poverty. You don't have to accept depression, anxiety, being self-conscious. You don't have to accept any of those things. Not having status, not being popular, not being successful. You don't have to accept any of those things as the truth. You can simply raise your standard and say, I will not live, participate, or exist in this life under these circumstances anymore. And then you make choices and decisions that will allow you to live the life that you want for yourself. And anything that's not the life that you want for yourself, you don't do it. And you don't allow people in your life that aren't above that standard either. So if you got to cut people off, break up, divorce, whatever it is, quit a job, move, you do all of those things because you have to maintain your standard. No one else will do that for you. More likely than not, they're going to try to convince you to lower your standards. That's what's really going to happen. But you don't have to accept that. If that's what you choose and if that's what you truly want, it's going to require work, sacrifice, and you doing what it takes without bending or breaking, which you can do if that's what you desire, truly desire. But again, some stuff just sounds good. Some people like the idea of something more than they like the reality. Is that you? I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. It's for you to tell me, which you can in the comment section below. Have you been living below your standards? Do you have standards? Do you need to raise your standards? And what does that look like? If you need help doing that, there's a link in the description box below where you can book a call with me and we can do a game plan call where I help you map out your playbook of how you can start winning in this game of life. Click that link, set up the call. If not, at minimum, do me a favor, hit the like button. And if you haven't done so already, consider subscribing to the channel. I'll continue to post videos like this because I want to see you level up in life and win this game. I want you to beat every final boss that you come across. That's what we do around here. Until next time, peace out.